Hey there, and welcome back to the series where I look at third-party developers and pick 5 characters that would be perfect for Smash from that studio. These are no predictions, just some characters that we would love to see. But as with even more DLC on the way, you never know, of course. Now last week we looked at Square Enix, and thank you everyone who responded with their awesome top 5s in the comments. I loved reading them all. At the end of the video, I asked you which company you wanted me to tackle in the next episode. I got great answers from many people, but by far the most requested one was Capcom. So for today, I will go with that, as you probably already guessed by the title and thumbnail. So if you have your own favorite characters from Capcom, be sure to mention them again in a top 5 in the comments, because I always love to read those. I myself won't pick any characters from franchises that are already in Smash, as I did a whole series on that, but you should just pick who you want to see. You already got some good ones in mind? Alright, let me show you mine and see if they match up. I often like to begin with a character that's not very likely but that I love nonetheless. And today is no exception. I even like this character so much that I dedicated a whole video to this game. I'm talking about Firebrand from Demon's Crest. If you don't know who this demon boy is, you can find him in 2 Gargoyle's Quest games for the Game Boy and NES. After which he would make even a bigger bang with Demon's Crest on the SNES. If you're curious, it's a game that you can play right now with Nintendo Switch Online in the SNES library. This game is really fun. You start out as a simple demon. You can fly around a bit, shoot some fireballs and do a headbutt attack. But while progressing, you can unlock so much good stuff, especially other forms for your gargoyle. You can become a pterodactyl-like demon that's able to fly even higher, an earth gargoyle that's incredibly strong, but you can also unlock other attacks like platforms that you can shoot to stand on. There is so much to do, and the story isn't linear, so you can explore it in any way that you want. There are also many secrets to discover, but why this guy for Smash? Well, especially because of all those moves I was just talking about. Imagine being able to transform throughout your attacks. All your specials are essentially your different forms, transforming with each attack. Well, he could use a standard demon for his natural look, and for his final smash, all his shapes could come together to deliver one big final blow. I mean, everybody wants him, right? Who cares that his last game was in 1994? Firebrand for Smash. And now, on to the next. And for our next one, someone that is a very popular Capcom character, especially among Nintendo fans. But he isn't really a fighter. Wright from the Ace Attorney series. Now I say of course Nintendo fans, but the Ace Attorney games have also been often released on other consoles. Now this is a tricky one of course, because even though Ace Attorney games are great and Wright is a very important aspect of Nintendo's history and an important video game character in general. But like I said, the boy doesn't fight. He's a lawyer, which means he isn't really physical. But he can kill you with the truth, am I right? No? Fuck. But hope is not lost, friends, as the great part is that he has been part of a fighting game already, with Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So we can take some inspiration from his moves there. As expected, he isn't your average punch and kick guy, but he much rather fights with projectiles that he took with him from court. Like evidence on paper and some of his friends. He can also point at you, as all good lawyers do, and scream objection. But there is some other weird stuff as well, like a sneeze attack. If they would add him to Smash, I think these are all viable options. For his standard attacks, he could always use some punches and kicks, as he's a pretty tall guy. And by the looks of him, also somewhat fit. But for his specials, it would be great if he just threw paper around and accused people for doing bad shit. Yeah, that would work greatly. Murder them with words. Are you familiar with the Darkstalkers series? A classic game franchise from 1994 which has had many great installments in its lifetime. Not all of them released in the West though. Darkstalkers, like other Capcom games, is a 2D fighter. As we all know, Capcom is very familiar with these types of games, and this franchise is a very unique and good one among them. The style of the game is gothic horror, with many of the characters looking like some kind of monster. And who do I want to see from this series is the most well-known girl of the franchise, Morrigan Ainsland. Only there is one big problem with her. Well, actually 2 big problems. The same thing that would be the case for Mai from Fatal Fury. Her front melons, as they are big. and hard to miss because of her skimpy outfit. And as Sakurai stated, Smash is for all good boys and girls. And Morrigan Ainsland isn't that. She most certainly is someone that would be played by the naughty boys and girls. But let's just for the sake of this video assume that she might have a chance. What would a moveset for her look like? Well, she has multiple powers that make her perfect for a fighting game. Like super strength, that makes her able to lift incredibly heavy things and deal some serious damage with fists. She can teleport, use soul attacks, which are essentially energy attacks with a more magical flair to it, and she has wings, so she's very agile and can traverse stages with ease. As she is a succubus, she of course likes to seduce other beings, which could also be a part of her moveset, with a charm to stun other characters. But yeah, I think she is really relevant and an important character from the Capcom lore. But those two obstacles will probably get in the way. You have of course many other great fighters from that franchise that might have a chance. Another central one is Felicia, only she would have to face the same problems as Morrigan. Dmitry Maximov would be cool, or the man made out of fire, Firebrand. It's a bit laughable to see how the men are dressed in the series compared to the girls. You don't see any meat flopping out with those guys. So Morrigan Ainsland, a great character, but one that I'm afraid we won't see anytime soon. Let's talk some Resident Evil. There are many great protagonists throughout the Resident Evil franchise, and I think many of them could work greatly for Smash, as most of these characters have kind of the same moveset anyways. But when we talk about which one would be the best fit, I would have to go with Leon from Resident Evil 4. And here is why. I think 4 was an absolute highlight in the franchise's lifespan. And most importantly, it was a huge hit on the Nintendo GameCube as well as the Wii. I mean, the game was originally developed as a GameCube exclusive, so that's where most people played the game for the first time. So the connection between Leon and Nintendo is very strong, which would make him the perfect fit for Smash. A moveset for him would be pretty obvious. He has all the tools for any good survival man, he uses his handgun, wields a knife and some other weapons as well. But he's also handy with melee combat, with the roundhouse kick of course being his signature move. So that has to be something that's really needed if he would be added to Smash. But like I said, the moves from many Resident Evil protagonists are pretty similar. So this would leave a lot of room for some additional skins or maybe even an Echo Fighter. Like the two originals, Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine. It's always important to remember the classics. Or what about some inspiration from the game that began Leon's adventure, Resident Evil 2? So we could add Claire Redfield to make the deal complete again. Now guys, while making this video, some interesting news came out which you probably heard by now. There are spirits on the way to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate from the Resident Evil series. These spirits are Chris, Leon, Wesker and Jill. Now I myself don't think that a spirit deconfirms a character, especially with more DLC on the way, but I'm afraid this kills the chances of a Resident Evil character coming to Smash. If they would add a Resident Evil character, they would have spirits for that franchise once the character releases. So unfortunately I think this won't come true. But it would be a great character nonetheless. Just like Firebrand, I talked about this guy before in his own video. But for this one, I do believe he has a chance. And man, I really want to see him in Smash. Dante from Devil May Cry. He's one of the most popular Capcom characters and a really badass one, with a unique moveset that would work so good for Smash. He does wield a sword, which many other Smash characters do, but the cool thing is that he likes to switch it up with guns. A bit how Bayonetta does it. But in his games you can find many other cool weapons as well, like nunchakus and scimitars. It would be cool if he would mix that up so all his specials would be different weapons. In Devil May Cry you have to fight a lot of demon-like enemies that aren't too pretty to look at. But I would love to have a stage with all of these weird and wacky creatures in the background. Or maybe a stage with one of the huge boss enemies wreaking havoc. Just like Wright in the Metroid stage. I think this series is incredibly relevant to this day. And Devil May Cry games are still being released. With the latest one, Devil May Cry 5 even being released this year. And to top that, the first two games have made their way to the Switch, with the third installment releasing next year. And I know a lot of people have made the case that this could be evidence for Dante to come to Super Smash, but I'm not sure about that. I really do believe he has a huge chance, but every time a game comes to Switch doesn't mean that the protagonist will be added to Smash later. On my previous Dante video I saw a lot of love for the guy. And when inspecting some fan-made ballots, you will find him often on there. Not always at the top, but I really do believe the demand is there. So if Capcom would add one more character from their catalog, then I would say he's the perfect candidate. He's from a franchise not represented in Smash yet, he has a unique moveset, fans want him, and his games are very popular to this day. Oh, and not unimportant as well, is that the Devil May Cry music is absolutely banger. I wouldn't mind hearing those tracks on the Smash battlefields.
Whoa! Yeah!
I'll take that.
So there you have it, my top 5 Capcom characters that I think would be great for Smash. But now of course the most important part of all. If you got to pick 5 fighters from Capcom, then who would it be? Let me know in the comments because I really want to see who you would pick. And just like last time, if you have a favorite third-party developer or one that has great characters that you want to see in the next video, let me know as well. I always take inspiration from the comments, so you might see your favorite pick of the studio in the next video. And if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like because that really helps me out. And subscribing to the channel is even better. There are even more of these Smash lists on the way and you can already find a lot of them on the channel. There's also a lot more Nintendo stuff to be found. So please click that subscribe button so you won't miss anything. Thank you very much for watching, I hope to see you next time.